¿Qué pasa YouTube? SixftHax here. Happy for you guys today. The team builder for week number 1 of GBA D-League Season 4, where we, the Durham Druddigons, are taking on the Los Angeles Nidokings, coached by Danza, aka Crobat, for the win, and the very first Draft League champion in Draft League history. For those of you who do not know, I am like 99.9999999% sure that Danza is the champion of Season 1 of the GBA, the original origin of Draft Leagues, and the very first ever season of Draft League, and Danza won that, and it's kind of crazy that we get to face him week 1 of GBA D-League Season 4. I know he is part of the Toka Minorities, the same little faction that Jolt is a part of, who we faced last season in week 1 and unfortunately took a pretty bad L against. But hey, we lost week 1 of last season and we were able to win the entire season in the end. So if we lose week 1 again, then I just kind of look at that as a good omen for us, honestly. But I am really nervous and excited for this matchup regardless. Check out Danza, guys. His channel link and stuff will be down below. Also down below is that thumbs up button. Make sure to hammer on that if you guys are excited for the GBA D-League to be starting. Check out our draft recap as well in the description. Let me know in the comment section below what are the 6 Pokemon that you would have brought to this matchup if you were us prepping for our opponent. So as you can see from the matchup down below me, my man's Danza here has a triple regen core of Tornadus, Tangrowth, and Toxapex, which is scary. Like there's literally there's no other way to describe it. Like, this triple regen core is stupidly fat, and then Tornadus being one of his Z-Mons along with Drampal means that Tornadus with Z moves is absolutely terrifying. And the thing about this matchup is that Tornadus is definitely his biggest #1 threat in this match. I will bet money that he is not going to bring something like Assault Vest Tornadus, because Taunt Z move Tornadus just makes so much sense. And then his next biggest threat is going to be Mega Gallade, just because setup Mega Gallade can kind of outspeed and power through everything that is not called Zygarde, because our Zygarde Dogo is the only thing on our squad that outspeeds Mega Gallade. So I fully expect those 2 mons to come. Physically defensive, either Rocky Helmet or Protect Mesprit with Rocks makes so much sense in this match, because it's pretty much his only switch in to Mega Medicham. Like, if you look at Mega Medicham and then you look at his team, the dual stab of Mega Medicham just kind of gets a free KO or 2-hit KO on everything, basically. Tangrowth, I think, needs to come because of Zygarde. Silvally Fairy, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense this match, because without Silvally Fairy, I just kind of click my Dark Stab with Zoroark and there's nothing he can do about it. So Silvally Fairy makes a lot of sense. And then for his 6th Mon, I'm not sure if you would want to bring Arcanine, Weavile, or Toxapex. Honestly, Drampal, Jolteon, and Steelix, I feel like they have the worst matchup in this game out of his entire, or out of the rest of his draft, so I don't really expect them whatsoever. And then Weavile and Toxapex do have a very good chance of potentially coming to this match, but Arcanine does help him deal with a potential setup variant of Magearna. Then again, Toxapex is bulky as all hell, and then the Weavile is a Weavile, basically. So yeah, that could be very scary as an offensive mon. So with that being said, let's jump into our first mon here. We got Mega Medicham. As I said, look at our dual stab, look at the rest of his team. Everything pretty much just drops to this monster, and because of the speed tiers that he has, we can honestly just run Adamant Mega Medicham, because I do not whatsoever expect them to run a very speedy Silvally, speedy Arcanine, or speedy Mesprit, which means with us being able to run Adamant Nature, that gives us a much better chance of being able to kind of just power through everything else on his squad. And with Substitute Recover, that means that Mega Medicham is going to be able to stick around this entire match much longer. As always, shouts out to my front office homies for being able to help me build for this match. And the great thing about Recover is that my boy Shuckle King 87 said that there is a possibility that he can run Protect on a couple of his Mons in order to get me to go for the high jump kick and take that 50% from the miss. So that's actually a really huge benefit of us having Recover, is that if he does have Protect and I do miss Predict against whatever Mon has the Protect, I can then just recover off the damage. And because we do have some decent bulk with the 156 HP EVs, this means that Mega Medicham should be able to take some hits relatively well, and then that way we can recover off the damage and then go from there. But the reason why we have Psycho Cut as opposed to Zen Headbutt is just because between High Jump Kick and Psycho Cut, we still kind of 2-hit KO pretty much everything, and then with us having Psycho Cut, we have an additional stab move that we don't have to risk missing potentially. Now I know Drain Punch might have been alright over Recover, or maybe Drain Punch over High Jump Kick and then something else over Recover, but the thing about it is that there's so much power drop from High Jump Kick to Drain Punch that it's really not worth it in my opinion, and then we can still just kind of go dual stab with Recover and pretty much still beat a majority of his team. So moving on to our next team member here, we have good old Oscar, aka Magearna, running a nice Spadef bulky set. Now this kind of functions as our main answer to the Tornadus essentially. Now Heatwave, Z Heatwave Tornadus, I think with U-turn and taunt makes so much sense in this match. So that's something I'm definitely going to be weary of going into this battle. But Spadef bulky Florges just kind of allows us to pivot into a decent majority of his team, and then because of Volt Switch we can get out of there and gain some type of momentum, and then Floral Cannon and Ice Beam honestly just kind of hit everything else that Volt Switch doesn't hit. Like, yeah, we're not doing too much damage to something like Arcanine or Toxapex, but we can Volt Switch out of those two Mons as they switch in and then go from there. And the cool thing about Pain Split on Magearna here is that with him having 3 regen Mons and most likely running defensive Mesprit, Silvally, or Arcanine, we can run Pain Split to gain back HP while still being able to deal some decent little bit of damage to those defensive Mons, and making it easier for our offensive threats to kind of just power through them. So while offensive or setup Magearna is not exactly the best to bring to this match, defensive Magearna still has so many good benefits. And then as always, if we get a KO on one of his walls, we get a Soul Heart boost, putting us at +1 special attack, and then that kind of pseudo makes Magearna a specially offensive threat. So I'm hoping that Magearna can put in the work here, and if I'm not mistaken, with our defensive investment, our Spadef investment, we can actually live a Z Heatwave from Tornadus, which is really awesome. So our next team member here is going to be Ember Moon, aka Cresselia, and Cresselia kind of has a lot of pressure on it in this match. Like, this needs to help us deal with Arcanine, with Gallade, also being able to pivot into Tornadus. It can switch into Steelix, Dreadball, Jolteon, Toxapex, Tangrowth, Mesprit, basically anything on his team Cresselia is able to switch into, which is kind of why it just has so much pressure on it. And the great thing about Cresselia is that even if Gallade is able to get a free Swords Dance in this match, it's not going to be able to straight OHKO us even after rocks, because of the immense bulk that Cresselia does naturally have. So with that, we can then either Thunder Wave Mega Gallade, or we can potentially Moonblast it to knock it out, and being able to spread Thunder Waves across his team on like Weavile, Gallade, Tornadus, Arcanine, even maybe even Silvally or Mesprit is going to be very great for the rest of our team, because being able to kind of have some type of hazard control, if we're able to paralyze something like Tornadus or Weavile or Gallade, that just makes Mega Medicham an even bigger and more scary threat to the rest of his team. And once Mega Medicham gets behind the sub, we're pretty much just getting 2 free kills, I think, honestly. So Thunder Wave is a huge benefit in this match. Cobra Berry is of course mainly for the Weavile. I really want to run Tango Berry, because I honestly expect them to bring X Scissor Mega Gallade. But the thing about that is that if we went Tanga Berry instead of Cobra Berry, then this version of the team outside of Magearna would not really have anything to deal with Weavile. And in the end, I honestly feel like Cobra Berry might just be a little bit better. So yeah, we're gonna go Cobra Berry as opposed to Tanga Berry, and I'm just kind of hoping that that doesn't come back to bite us in the end. But between Psychic and Moonblast, we pretty much just hit everything except for Steelix, which again, I don't expect Steelix. I'm not even worried about Steelix, honestly. So our next team member here is going to be Nidoqueen, aka Niajax, running a very speedy tank set this week 1. And the main reason why we're running such a speedy tank set is because I do not expect Speedy Mesprit, Silvally, or Arcanine, all of which are outsped by this Magearna, this Nidoqueen right here. And I just realized that it's level 100, so I apologize about that. I don't like that. Like, I'm very nitpicky. Like, I wish this was a level 50. I should have double checked that, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. It's fine. But Nidoqueen is able to outspeed all 3 of those Mons, and it's also able to kind of just pressure his triple regen core of Pex, Growth, and Tornadus, which is amazing because along with Rocks, if we're able to get up Rocks, Sludge Wave and Earth Power are just doing so much ridiculous damage to his entire draft. Not even Mesprit is going to appreciate trying to switch into Nidoqueen here. If he does bring Mesprit, it's most likely going to be there to deal with the Mega Medicham. So the more damage we get off of Mesprit, the more beneficial it is going to be to us. So Stealth Rocks, Dual Stab, and then Sucker Punch being there, allowing us to pick certain things off, I think is going to be absolutely amazing, because Nidoqueen again just has a really solid matchup here. We are running a very speedy set. As long as it doesn't as long as it does not reach over 120 speed, then I'm not really too concerned about any of those defensive mons I did mention. And with the HP and Spadef investment, we are able to kind of pivot into Jolteon, which again, I don't expect Jolteon just because Nidoqueen is such a solid answer to Jolteon. And then we also have the Zydog in the back, and we have so much priority with our draft, which is actually why I don't expect Weavile, because we have Mach Punch and we have E-Speed on Infernape and Zydog respectively, which can easily pick off Weavile. So our next team member here is going to be Zoroark, which, man, look at Zoroark, and then just this just comes in and things die. That's it. There's no other way around it. Like, Scarf Zoroark has such a phenomenal matchup this game. It's kind of ridiculous, and just because of Zoroark, I fully expect him to bring Silvally Fairy. Like, if he does not have Silvally Fairy, I just click knockoff at the beginning of the match, or in the early stages of the match, and then mid-game to late game, I just click Dark Pulse, and he has nothing to switch into it. With Stealth Rocks up, Zoroark is such a huge threat to his draft, to any 6 that he brings that does not have Silvally Fairy, that it's kind of ridiculous, honestly, man. Like, Zoroark, I really feel is going to be the MVP of week 1 just because of it being able to click knockoff or Dark Pulse, or scout out with U-turn, potentially pick off Gallade with Foul Play even. Like, it's really crazy. I think originally I had Memento and a bit of a more bulky set on the set, but after talking to my boy Shuckle King, I figured that a knockoff Dark Pulse set might honestly just be a lot better, considering that this just, between knockoff and Dark Pulse, guys, we just win with Zoroark. Like, we already have our Mega Medicham in the back that just pretty much destroys any of his walls. Then Zoroark, again with Rocks up, can just be such a huge offensive presence to the offensive aspect of his draft that he's not gonna really be able to do anything when we do bring in Zoroark and we just click one of our dark stabs. So again, I really want Zoroark to put in the utmost of work. So moving on to team member number 6 and the final mon of our week 1 squad, we have something that I don't think you guys might have suspected, but we have Rotom-Frost, and this is really, I find this a little bit funny because between Thunderbolts and Blizzard, we hit everything, guys. Like we hit every single last team member on his team for stabbed, neutral, or super effective damage, and there is nothing that he can do about it. Electrium Z Thunderbolt manhandles through Arcanine, through Mesprit, through Gallade, Weavile, those 4 mons basically, and then Blizzard pretty much hits everything else. And much like Mega Medicham, because of the speed tiers, we're able to easily run Modest, and a naughty nature on Zoroark was actually plus physical attack, if you guys did not know that. But yeah, because of the speed natures, we can just run Modest with almost max special attack, and with our speed investment, we should outspeed everything that should not be creeping over the max speed of being able to outspeed Timid Shift Gear Magearna, which only reaches about 128 or 129 speed if I'm not mistaken. So with 130 speed, we outspeed those mons, and then we can substitute, we can pain split, wear down his walls. Pain split on Rotom works the same as on Magearna. This is nice to wear down his regen core, just his bulky mons in general. And at the same time, like Mega Medicham, if Rotom gets behind a sub, we can just about easily guarantee getting 2 KOs just with Rotom-Frost. Unless we get ridiculously unlucky with Blizzard, then Rotom-Frost behind the sub just puts in so much work, man. Again, Z Thunderbolt is able to just manhandle through those mons that Blizzard doesn't hit super effective or just does not hit hard enough. And a part of me kind of feels like he's not going to expect the double substitute core, because it is very uncommon. So if I sub with Rotom, he may not expect sub on Medicham, and vice versa essentially, and that could be something that really ends up helping us out in this match. So between Rotom and Medicham, we should be able to kind of break through his defensive core. We have Cresselia and Magearna as our pivot mons, as well as Tangrowth kind of, and then we have Zoroark that can come in late game, click Dark Pulse, and just kind of sweep. So that's the general idea behind our matchup here going into week 1. So that is going to be our squad, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, what are the 6 mons that you would have brought? What are the 6 mons you would have brought to this matchup? And what do you think of our squad? Hammer on that thumbs up button down below. I will see you guys all tomorrow with the actual battle itself, and I'm really nervous and excited, and hopefully we don't lose week 1, but hey, if we do, it may be a good omen, who knows. So with that being said, guys, I will see you all tomorrow. Later, everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot hacks. 6 foot hacks, hacks. Yeah. 6 foot hacks, hacks. Yeah. 6 foot hacks.